We couldn't cook enough fries. We were always running out.
Mm-hmm. And you were doing the potatoes. You were peeling the potatoes by hand in our kitchen.
Yes.
And our whole catering equipment was in our garage.
Yes.
And Daniel's peeling potatoes and chopping them up for our church parties.
Yes. Welcome to the very first episode of Weddings Unwrapped, the podcast where I, Daniel Driggs, take you behind the scenes of the wedding industry. Each episode, I will be sharing expert insights, collaborating with other wedding professionals, and giving you all the tools you need to make your I do as perfect as possible. Whether you're planning your dream day, you're in the industry, or just love weddings, you're in the right place. Let's unwrap this magic together. Today first off, I'm Daniel Driggs. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm the owner of Crisp Catering and the Northampton House, a venue here in Utah. And just excited to get into this space and help people plan their best weddings. So we'll have awesome guests from event planners to caterers to everything. But I'm really blessed that my first interview is going to be with my wife, Abby, who is my business partner, who makes this all possible. She's going to explain kind of the background of Crisp Catering, some of the issues that we had, some of the everything. And we'll kind of get into the nitty gritty of starting a catering company or what to expect with catering at your event. Hopefully all good. So first thing is, Abby, for the initial thought of we're starting a catering company, how'd you take that? What were those initial feelings? Do you want to share how that even came to be? Yeah.
So first of all, this is so fun to be on this podcast with you. I'm proud of you and I'm happy to do this with you. I think I always knew, first of all, that you'd be an entrepreneur. I just knew it. And so when we started the catering company, it was funny that that's what we landed with, because I think back to that time where we had all those ideas, and at the same time you were writing a book and trying to be an author and telling me you wanted to have a farm and be a farmer.
Still do.
Yeah. And start a catering company. So I didn't know which of those options you were going to choose. Yeah, and so it ended up being a catering company, and I'm so happy. But you have all these ideas and just have always kind of been this creative person, So I think that's how the idea originally started, was you just talking about it. And then, of course, you were already working in catering. And so it was kind of your background, and you wanted to start a company. And so it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just so you guys know, the listeners, we started talking about this we were always talking about it, but we were very serious once we had our first kid. We're in the hospital room, and the only thing I had on my mind was paninis and fries and and soda. And
no, he's kidding.
I was only thinking about our kid. But we were discussing it, and we were talking about it, and that day was the first day I quit my other job and started Crisp. And
I remember you had a laptop. I was sitting there in the hospital bed in postpartum recovery, and I was with Hank, our first baby, and Daniel. We had kind of some downtime, and so he's like, well, I guess I'm going to pull out my laptop and order some panini presses and some fryers,
Yes.
He's just like, I'm going to pull the trigger. And I'm such a non-risk person. I like very predictable things. And Daniel, you're a lot more risky of a person with, and you're very creative. And so that's been definitely a learning process, is learning to trust each other with you wanting to be more risky with business and stuff.
Yes, that's very true. And sometimes I'm too risky, and I appreciate you letting me make the mistakes that I've made. And that's a big thing we've found since starting Crisp is just you have to make mistakes. You have to be willing to get pie thrown in your face, or else you don't get to that next level. It's been a big ride, but kind of leads me to some of the other questions that I wanted to ask you is, what were some of the first big challenges that you felt like we faced in those first couple months, years? Yeah.
I think at first it's hard when you start a company from like a brand new idea, because if you know who you had bought like a franchise or something, at least you have something to work with. Whereas for you, it was like, okay, I'm going to start this catering company called Crisp, and I'm going to sell paninis, and I'm going to sell fries. And you had this idea, and it's so hard to imagine actually what it's going to look like. And so now 3 years later, coming to your venue and seeing it all come to life, or going to events and seeing like your team catering, it's so amazing, because I was in the living room with you, when you decided what your company name was going to be. And it's hard to imagine it all coming to life. And so it's like a big trust and faith process of that. But I think at the first, it was really hard having no clients. Like, our first guest ever was our church ward congregation that we served at for a party.
Yeah, and we totally told them that we've done this a ton of times. And I started from a different catering company, but these were totally different items.
We did your dad's party.
Yes.
You're just like, anyone. Does anyone want us to cater for you?
Please.
Like, that is so hard. Just getting those first few clients to trust you. Mm-hmm. And those first few clients mean so much to you. You're so grateful, and you always remember them.
Yeah, I'm laughing. We had bottle cap catering was one of the ideas, and we were going to do soda. We imagined
like people going around on like roller skates or something, like wearing
we said it. I don't think we ever. Yes, we were. I think we were in like Gurus Cubbies in Provo, and we were talking about
it was Chuckarama.
No, that's when we came up with Crisp.
Oh, okay.
That was the official. Okay. Shout out to Chuckarama. That's for sure. But no, I think that's exactly right. Those first few events, we are probably our number one thing that we serve to this day is fries. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't get it right. Like our sauces were good, and people were literally just eating our sauces with paninis, but we couldn't cook enough fries. We were always running out. Mm-hmm.
You were doing the potatoes. You were peeling the potatoes by hand in our kitchen.
Yes.
And our whole catering equipment was in our garage.
Yes.
And Daniel was peeling potatoes and chopping them up for our church party.
Yes. I think I made it took you
6 hours of potatoes.
No, I think probably longer. I think I started at 9 a.m. the day before. And
that was the only time we ever did fresh potatoes.
Yeah, that was the only time we ever chopped them, because you can buy fresh potatoes for frozen fresh potatoes not frozen fresh. That's not a real word. Frozen potatoes. Thank you. For nothing. It was hilarious.
And it tastes better than the ones whatever we did.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
And the other thing is buying equipment. At first we were doing the mini donuts, and so these are expensive equipment that you have to buy, and you're just testing it out. And if it doesn't work, then you've wasted this money. So, we've wasted a lot of money starting a company, but there's no other way to learn and grow unless you make those mistakes at the first.
Yes. And it's funny enough, it's much cheaper when you make those mistakes at the beginning of your company. Yeah. When you're trying stuff. If I tried to reintroduce those donuts now, and we sent 100 donuts event out, 100 donut events out. Yeah. Thank you. We would be in a world of hurt if we had the same challenges we had with those first 20 we did. We were spilling oil. We were replacing concrete. It was painful. And so...
Painful. That's a great word. It's just so painful. And it's is this company ever going to be successful? I have no idea.
Yes.
You're just jumping off a cliff.
Yes. It's hard. So scary, so stressful. It really can be. It's just painful. And for different reasons. You have this vision, you have this idea, and you're just trying to get to that spot. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Anything initially that we did do that you would recommend to other business owners or other people starting a catering company that you would request or you would invite them not to do?
I mean, watching you go through the pain of it and talking about it with you, like we talk at night a lot about how work's going and stuff. And this is one thing I think is we hired on such good people at the beginning, but I would say start smaller. Like you don't need 8 people starting a company. You need maybe like 2 or 3 people, maybe 1, maybe only you. Like,
yes,
we started too big. We were paying employees is the most expensive part of a company. Yes. Not always, but for us it was. And so it's like we were paying people, but we didn't even know what we needed them to do yet. And so it's almost like just start small, which takes so much self-control, especially for you because you dream so big. Yeah. And you could see this vision, but it's like we didn't have the money to start that big. And we had amazing workers at the beginning, like nothing against who we had. It's just that we had too many and we were trying to grow too big when it's like we could have maybe made more money and
maybe not even make more money. We could have just grown at a steady rate. Yes. I think we grew that first year we did 400 events.
Yeah, we grew too fast,
unbelievable.
Which can be bad.
Yeah, and awesome. We loved growing that fast, but because of how crazy it was, we needed everyone to wear 100 different hats. Yeah. We needed everyone to do 100 different things, and that's not fair to your employees. That's not fair to yourself. Like I think I had more 100-hour work weeks at the start than anything. And now at the same time, you have to grow to a certain point where you're making some sort of money. If you can't afford to, take this risk, then save up a little bit more or get ready or get a bigger loan or whatever. But you have to, like when starting, you have to know that you're not going to make money for 2-3 years. Yep.
And also, I couldn't ever start a business. Like me personally, like I'm married to you.
You did.
And so you.
Yes.
But even I'd say like you just have to pull the trigger at some point.
Yeah.
Like so many people who want to start businesses are like, oh, I'm going to wait till I'm more secure or like out of school or whatever. But sometimes at some point you just have to pull the trigger and do it.
Yeah. I think your life just gets more set the longer you take. Yeah, like, for example, had Hank been 6 months when I was thinking about doing this versus when he was brand newborn, or currently, like we're still like, if I were to start a business now when Hank's 3 and I'm worried about gifts for him or stuff like that, or signing like that, I have become way less risk adverse or more risk adverse. I don't know, because there's just more on the line. Yeah. I think that
it's almost easier when you're younger. And
yes. Or older and don't have as much risk or as much. Yeah.
There's never like a perfect time.
But there's never a perfect time. Just do it. The longer you go, the more risk you're going to have. And so do it when you're poor and going for
free.
It. Yeah. Young
Flying
and free.
By the seat of your pants.
Yes. And being, you're, yes. Yeah. Good sentence. Nice. What is your favorite Crisp memory?
Ooh, that's a great one. I would say one of them is at your dad's Christmas party when you catered for that, and just walking in and seeing, it was probably the second event you ever did, and like seeing it all come together for the first time and seeing your little like worker bees, like including me, I was there like making paninis.
Yeah, I think Hank was in his stroller.
Yeah,
I think we just like rolled him off to the side.
I don't even know, but
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm guessing that. Maybe. I feel like I remember that.
But it's like just seeing it all come together and the colors, like seeing the black and the white and your little C logo, just like those little things were so fun for me to see. And then seeing you afterwards, like you actually cried, and I don't see you cry very much, but you were so happy that it went well. And you were just like, I'm just so grateful that
yes,
like someone would trust me, to cater their company's party. And then every time I go to an event of yours is my favorite, because like you have an amazing team. Your employees are so good, so professional, and just like you have a legit company. And it's kind of weird for me to see that when I am home and you just talk about these ideas, but then actually coming in person and seeing like your food tastes so good. And I'm such a big foodie actually. And so I actually think your food tastes good.
Thank you.
And your sauces are amazing. And the soda bar is so fun. Like, I just think it's a fun company.
It is. I think that's my favorite memory too. I think that and looking back on it, that's one of my highlights. Yeah. It was this crazy, we didn't plan enough time. We set up with like 20 minutes to go. We were running around crazy. We're trying to find power. We flipped all the breakers. We had no clue what we were doing.
The fries were delayed.
Yes, but exactly what you're saying. And I still feel very humbled by the fact that people would trust us to do their wedding, their big event, their party.
And be patient with all the mistakes we made.
Yes. Well, yes. And I say this to my team, but this type of industry is like flying an airplane. It's someone's wedding. If you crashed an airplane 1 in 100 times, you are not, no one ever is hopping on a flight again. Mm-hmm. And so same with catering, we can't be 1 in 100. We have to be, and so we have to be perfect.
Mistakes on someone's
you just can't make mistakes on someone's wedding day. And so those first few times were incredibly stressful because it has to be perfect. And has it always been perfect? No, we've made mistakes. We've had issues, and it's been painful to call a bride and say, I know I messed up and here's what happened, and give a full refund or whatever it is, especially at those beginnings. Painful. It was painful. And so I love that memory. I love imagining you or working in your little crisp uniform at that first. Yes.
Is that your favorite memory, do you think?
Yes. I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
It's so funny. We had the chalkboard menus.
The fondue that we were cleaning out.
Yes.
So
we
messy.
had no idea how to do the fondue. And it was great. Food was great. We got a 5-star review. So that was big.
It's good.
It was awesome. No, it's fun. What do you think the biggest misconception is about running a business? So there's the starting a business, but running the business, what do you think the biggest misconception is?
Maybe with how quickly it's successful and easy. I think people think, oh yeah, there's like 3 years for sure of like growing pains, or 3 years until you're profitable, but it's a long process.
3 years is so much longer than I remember it ever being in my life.
We're still in pain, and it's been 3 years, and it's like, but compared to the beginning, like it has gotten better. But I think the misconception would be that just business owners are super rich and like successful and stuff. Like I would see people before, who own businesses and think, oh yeah, like they can pay for us because they own a business. Yeah. Now I look, I'm like, oh, like we put everything back into our business basically. Yeah. And I think most business owners would do the same because they want their business to be successful. And we do pay ourselves a little bit, but it's like, it takes so much longer than you think. Yeah. And I don't know. I think that's a misconception is that it's easier, quicker than it really is. It takes a long time.
It's, I don't think very many people would start a business if they knew what it was like. But then at the same time, I've loved it.
And you would do it all over again. If you, you wouldn't do it again, but
I would do it differently.
You're grateful you did it.
Yes, I am so grateful I did it, but I would do it so different. And I'm also grateful I felt those pain points, because I don't think I would have learned had I not experienced those painful things, and still experiencing them. I think I think for me, one of the interesting things is how the same mistakes just keep happening.
Yeah.
And typically 6 months apart or a year apart, or you're like, cool, we solved that issue. And then it happens again, and you want to die. And it's like, yes, it's just so depressing. And just, yes, always. And the things just become bigger year after year. The things that I'm dealing with now versus the things I was dealing with 2 years ago, much bigger and different than what they were. That's why part of me liked that we grew so fast, as we experienced a lot of those painful things faster than most people do.
Yeah.
It would typically take most people 3-4 years to do that.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of success because of that. Okay, let's talk about our family. How has me being an entrepreneur benefited, hurt, stressed out, affected our day-to-day life, our kids' lives, all of that?
Well, I feel like you as a person have grown so much since starting a business. Like, I can't imagine you doing anything else. And so I think like you've just grown into a better person, which I feel like makes you a better dad and a better husband. And like you're dealing with people all the time in your industry, especially like you work in the wedding world and you manage a lot of employees. And so I think I've appreciated, like, I feel like you've been specifically something as a really good listener to me, because you're used to like having conversations with people at work and hearing like when brides have things that are important to them, or mother of the brides or employees. Just kidding. Or I don't know, just like you're a good listener. And then
thank you.
Yeah, I think you're good at that. You're good at making me feel heard. And like the other thing I'd say is it's actually better than I thought, in the sense of I thought you'd always have to work long hours, always working weekends because you own a catering company. But I'd say like when we want to go on vacation or something, at the first it was hard. Now it's getting better in the sense of I'm like, oh, you can actually prepare in advance and take some time off to go with our family, and you have a little bit more of that flexibility. But at the same time, you do have to work some holidays that everyone in the other work world that has normal holidays off, you have to go in. So sometimes that's been hard for me with our family, is like if it's a Saturday night or a Friday night and you have to work late or go to an event, that's hard.
Yeah, it is interesting because it just is a matter of values. Because had I, like, the truth is I could have, it's so interesting because there's the value of, do I focus on the business more? Yeah. Do I focus on family more? Yes, at what point does that kind of pass off? Because I want to be I think Crisp and what I hope my life models is a very value-driven company, and I hope I am a very value-driven person.
Yeah. And I think you are.
Like, yeah, but it's so hard because I have two values. I want to be a successful business person. Yeah. And I want to be a good dad. Yeah. And so it's this balance that you have to balance, and there have been some sacrifices, but I think what's cool is that balance is kind of your choice based on the business. I know some people that do 10 weddings a year and they crush it at those 10 weddings, and those weddings they charge a lot for, and they go on a holiday like the rest of the time. And they're very present with their family versus I think what we did is we went a little too extreme in some ways.
You're doing so many events at the first.
So many events that it makes it kind of, it's an interesting little balance balancing our lives. And I think we're not perfect there. And I think the goal should be to go for perfection in both of those spots. But I think it will take our entire lives of moving the needle that way and being aware of where we're at with both of those things.
Yeah. I do feel like you prioritize our family though. And I feel grateful for that because I know not everyone is like that. Because I know if I was having a really hard day, I could call you and say, I need you home. Like the kids are kicking my butt. Like I need you to come home. And you would come home. And you would totally come home and you would tackle it. And there are other times where you say to me, like, hey, I need to work late and it's going to be a really busy work week for me. And you're lucky to have a really supportive wife.
Very supportive.
And I feel
that's the whole reason we can do this. Seriously, the reason I can be risky, the reason I can is because of you.
But we're
You're
good
amazing.
for each other. Yeah,
yes.
We're good. We are really supportive of each other. And I think we are flexible for each other because sometimes we have to be sometimes we have to make sacrifices, you know?
Totally. Okay. What do you think has contributed the most to our success as, Crisp? What is the, difference?
The secret sauce.
What's the secret sauce? The Kalamata? Lemon aioli?
I think something you've said to me before is it doesn't matter what business you go into, just go 100% in that direction and put all your effort into it. And it doesn't matter which business you've chosen. You know, we could have chosen you being an author or a farmer or a caterer. Yeah. And you would have gone 110% in it because that's just who you are. And so I think committing, being 100% committed. And even when you have those weeks, you know, you've had those weeks where you're like, I'm so done. I can't do this anymore. Yeah. And then you have those weeks and you wallow in your sorrow for a second and then you get back up.
Whine a bunch. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a word? Wallow in your sorrow? I don't know.
Like to wallow in the swallow. That seems good.
But you get back up and you keep going. But I think just being committed to whatever your ideas and not all of a sudden being like, oh, I'm going to actually start a different company. This one didn't work out. No, just keep going with what you've created. And that's how people are successful, is just being consistent and committed. And I think whatever you choose, just go for it. And I think that was the question.
That was perfect. Yeah. That answered it great. It was, what contributed the most. And I agree. I think we
just being all in.
Went all in and then you stay all in. Yeah. It's so easy to do something really hard for 3-4 months and be like, I'm all in. I am a baker. I am a florist. I am a photographer. I am this.
And it's exciting at first.
Very exciting. And you
you're doing the logo.
You do the logo. You do the
Instagram.
Yes. Take 4 reels and you're all excited about them. And then it's painful. You get a call from the IRS that says, hey, you didn't file your taxes for this company, or hey, you didn't create an LLC, or hey, you didn't do this. And you just don't even know what those words are.
Yep. And you want to give up.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that's when it's just staying on top of it and moving forward. And I think a big part of it is continuing to have that vision.
Yes.
Making it very clear what that vision is, what that expectation is, because it motivates you. It keeps you going. Speaking of, where do you see Crisp in 5 years from now? What's the vision for Crisp? What's the next step?
Well, if it was up to me, I would say just the vision would be locking in systems that we've already created that are already working, and just keeping what you've already built and making it
being
perfection. Yeah, yes, consistency.
Going back to that exactly.
But if I think realistically for you, because you dream big, I don't know. I have no idea what it's going to be in 5 years. We could own somehow another wedding venue or something crazy.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's where we balance each other well, is I pull back a lot more.
Yeah.
And you dream bigger. And that's okay. But I think in 5 years, I don't know.
I know.
You kind of are a crazy person sometimes.
I think exactly with what you're saying is going to what has been successful and what's created Crisp. And the best things we've done is just stick to the script and do what we said when we first made our business plan.
Yeah.
Sticking to that has been great.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm like, cool, let's do this random thing or let's add this, it just gets off track. And I think the goal and what I hope is, I hope that the next 5 years are a balance of
balance.
5 things. And this is, I think every business, if they can balance these 5 things, they're happy, they're good. Customer happiness.
Okay.
Employee happiness. Your brand, growth, and profitability. If you're doing all of those 5 things and balance those 5 things, then your company succeeds.
Yeah.
I think where we struggled these first 2 years have been, or first even 3 years has been, we've sacrificed maybe profits or growth, or not growth. We've never sacrificed that yet, but we've sacrificed sometimes employee happiness, sometimes for growth. And we're hoping to scale back on those things. And I think that's what the next 5 years brings, is balance. And I think it's what all really successful businesses, small businesses do, is they balance those 5 things. And none of them get, like when a company is so profit focused, the customers feel it. The employees feel it. If any of those are to the extreme, you just get in trouble. Yeah. And so that's what I think we'll continue to try to balance, is those five things within our company. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see how they go. I tend to like our customers and employees and growth more than I care as much about profits, but I need to start making some money at some point, or else my most important customer, my wife, is going to be mad. Yeah, that's true. No.
I'm happy.
Yes.
I'm a happy person.
Same. And yes. So last question. I don't know. Where are we at on time? One more question? Great. Last question, maybe 2.
All right. Okay.
What's something you've learned from me? And then I'll say something I've learned from you during these past couple years.
I think I've learned to trust you, and that you have different strengths than I do. And I've learned to let go of sometimes what I think is the right way, and just like lean into you and trust you that you are capable and smart, and just like, I'd say letting go of what I think is going to be the most successful and trusting you has made your business be so amazing. And that's probably what I've learned, is just like, if I were to look back on year 1 to see how much I trusted you, which was not as much, compared to now, like, I trust you, and I've seen the results also. Like, it's been like, you've totally proved yourself. And I feel like in a marriage, it's just like learning a lot about trusting each other. And so with something so risky as starting a business, it's like, this is our money, and this is our life together. And so, I would say just knowing that, like, when you come to me with an idea now, I feel like I'm more inclined to believe you, because I've seen the results of you having a really amazing, successful company. And the other thing I've learned from you is, is that the question? What I've learned from you? Yes.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
First off, I am very grateful that you trust me. I really am. It just, I feel that. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And the other thing is how I already knew this about you before, but just everyone loves you. And you were just the most likable person. So that's been fun for me to see is like when random people see you at the zoo, you know, and they're like, Daniel, like the wedding guy, like you just are so good with people. You're so good with people. And so you're perfect for this business where you work with people a lot. And so that's been fun. It's just reminding me of that you're a very capable, competent, social human.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that just made my day. Thank you. I'm glad we asked this question.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think for me, what I have learned is that I married the best mother ever. We have 2 crazy boys.
Yeah.
And there's no way I could focus on this business and focus on what we need to do with Crisp and our brides and our employees and our, everything to do with Crisp and now this venue.
Yeah.
If I didn't just fully trust you with our kids, you're amazing. I hit the jackpot. I really did. I'm so grateful for you.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I know they're hard, so thank you.
Yeah, our kids are driving me crazy today. So.
I know. I spend like an hour at the end of the night, and then I'm like,
you tap out.
How does Abby do this?
Yeah, it's hard to be a mom.
Yes, very hard. I learned that too. Is being a mom I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah.
And I know I am a minority being a male in the wedding world. So all of your mothers out there that are also starting a business and being a mom and everything else, unbelievable. So cool. So amazing. So grateful for you guys. Thanks for making this wedding world awesome too. So last thing is I'm going to ask really quick, any advice you would give to entrepreneurs or other people that are thinking about starting a business? I know you've given a lot, but any last golden nuggets?
I mean, start small. I know I've already said that. And the problem is, even if people told us that when we started the business,
yes,
people told us start
but also
small.
Start big enough that it hurts if you don't do it.
You got to start somewhere. But I just think start small, small with your employees, start small with your workspace.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to be a 50-year-old business owner when you're only a 25-year-old business owner. Like, you can't be spending like you're a 50-year-old business owner or have as many employees as a 50-year-old business owner who's been established and has their roots. And like, we're
who's
small.
Done it for 25 years.
Act like you're, live within your means and do your company within your means. But it takes so much self-control. And I think even if people told us that at the first, it's like, teenagers. Yeah. You tell them not to be stupid and then they're still stupid. So
yes,
sometimes there's no way to learn other than just going it through yourself.
Just doing it.
So start small, but practice self-control and just be patient. Like there's so much advice, but I'd also say just be patient, like in the thick of the hard, because it gets better.
It does.
Yeah.
Took a long time to
get
there.
What about you? What's your advice for an entrepreneur?
Opposite. Okay. Just go for it. No, Abby's so right on the start small, but I would say just go for it. Yeah. That's the truth. It's so fun. It's so painful, but it makes you a better person.
Yeah.
I constantly look back and it's like, I'm so grateful for what I learned because I did it. Although it's been painful.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I'm like, is it worth it? But it is. It tends to be.
Yeah.
Well, that is all the time we have for today, sadly. I could talk to you forever.
I know. This is fun.
I think we will probably talk forever.
Yeah. I'll see you tonight.
Yeah. Thank you, Abby, for sharing your story and behind the scenes of our journey. It has been so great to chat with you about all of this. I love you. I am so proud of everything we've built together.
Love you too.
You're amazing. Love you. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe to Weddings Unwrapped. And if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything. It means a ton. If you share, we'll be back next week with another inspiring story. Until next time, keep chasing your dreams, and that is a wrap.